Things really heat up in this episode. There's a number of different backstabbings going on. And what is it with that pinhead guy being able to change his face? Hunter x Hunter, Episode 15, Scramble of Deception. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and action-packed, tantalizing, backstabbing tale of Hunter x Hunter 2011. Now, our last episode saw us with really the beginning of Phase 4, or Phase 4, I guess, beginning of the Hunter exam, and there's only 24 remaining applicants that are left. We did see a little bit of action towards the beginning, but ultimately it ended with Gon learning how to actually, he wants to, snake Hisoka's tag from him, but he's going to need to do it on the fly and be able to catch him right as he's about to attack his prey, as he's about to take out his target. So that's how things left off. And really, this one picks up right where we left off. Gon is looking down at his hands, and from, casting his fishing pole, doing these, practicing for 2 days, training, his hands are all bloodied and obviously just cut up and beaten and worn, right? And he notices these butterflies that keep fluttering around him, and they're actually following his hand, and these butterflies are like blood butterflies, I guess you would call them. They're drawn to the scent of blood. So we wind up seeing Gon actually goes and puts a couple of these things on strings on like a fishing line, and kind of hoping that they'll take him to Hisoka, because they remember that Hisoka was wounded. He had a cut on him and a small injury, from his ordeals within the Trick Tower. So he's assuming that he might be able to track him that way. And really, this whole episode was done very well because it shows us a number of different characters, and there's all kinds of backstabbing, and this one's waiting for this one, so this one can get that one. This one doesn't know who his target is. It's very, very cool stuff. But there's a couple of big revelations that I thought were important in this one. And as Gon goes along, he winds up finding the person that was incapacitated from the other guy's arrow, that kind of poisonous tranquilizer arrow, and he winds up bandaging him up and leans him up against this tree. And unfortunately, the guy's gonna have to wait until next year because he's gonna be knocked out for the week. So, but as he goes and goes and tries to find his way towards Hisoka, he eventually does come upon Hisoka and sits and waits and lies in wait in these bushes waiting for him. He sees Hisoka just sitting there, and he wants to wait for that perfect moment to attack him. Now, some of the things that I thought were cool about this episode is how it flip-flopped back and forth between a few different things. We see Killua at one point walking through a darker part of the forest, and he knows that somebody's following him, and he pretty much just calls him out. He's like, "You're no good at hiding, just come out," right? And whoever it is that's following him, I forget the character's name, I don't even know if they've said it, it looks like a younger boy, doesn't actually reveal himself at all. So Killua was kind of being stalked, but he's aware that he's being stalked, right? Now, the thing that I wanted to talk about is, and I thought it was cool, is Tompa comes upon Liario, right? And he comes upon him, and Leorio's like, whoa, hold on a second, how do I know that you're not, that I'm not your target? And he makes him show him his number. Tompa pulls out a number. It's not Leorio's number, right? So Tompa's going and saying, listen, I know who your target is, because Leorio shows him his target, and he says, I'll give you all the information, but I got the shits. I ate some bad fruit. I need me some medicine. I need some Pepto-Bismol. So, and I know you want to be a doctor and everything. So Leorio's like, all right, you tell me everything you know, and just don't shit yourself, but I'll get you something to fix you up, So as Tompa goes and explains all this stuff about his target and what he knows about the participants that are still left and everything else, Leorio goes to open up his briefcase to get him some medicine, and at that moment, I forget what the guy's name is, but he's the monkey man. He's the dude with the real weird face, and the monkey that is always sitting on his shoulder that weirdly looks human as well. So it looks strangely human to me. So anyway, the monkey swoops down and grabs his tag out of his briefcase and goes running off with it, and the dude goes swinging off in there, and we find out that Tompa and him were actually working in unison. They had switched tags so they could go and fool Leorio and get him to open up his briefcase, right? So Tompa's fat ass goes running and thinks he's all cool and he's in the clear. He goes running, and he's like, "Oh, you idiot! I can't believe you fell for it," And in a contest like this, you should work in teams, right? And next thing you know, man, all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, Kurapika comes out and just roundhouses this sumbitch right in his crotch area, but right in the knee, between the knee and the crotch, and he just goes flying over himself. So we find out that Kurapika, his actual target was Tompa, So he's able to get his tag, obviously. They go and they tie this bitch up, and leave him on this little pile or whatever. And it says, don't feed, do not feed, do not feed the animals, And then they work together to go and catch the monkey man. Kurapika winds up actually getting the monkey and pretty much holding the monkey hostage, so the monkey man will have to win it. Because he has obviously Leorio's tag, right? So Leorio gets his tag back. Kurapika winds up, getting Tompa's and actually has enough points now. And there's 4 days left because this is on the 3rd day. So there's 4 days left, and they're going to pretty much, try to work together. So Leorio, so they can either they have an extra tag, and it may come in handy. Leorio now would technically have 4 points, but he can either find his target, and just to get the 6, or he can go and try to, get 2 more tags off random hapless survivors, I guess, So this is it's got that very cool, Survivor, Hunger Games type feel for it, and I don't care who people like the comparisons that I draw or not. That's what I get from it. It's really kind of a cool thing because they're relegated to this island, So the island may big or not, I don't know, decent enough size to where 24 people can hide around and what have you. So that was the whole situation with them. But then when we go back to and we see Hisoka goes and it's cool because there's this one point where it's real tense where you think that he sees Gon in the bushes and he's like, come on out, I know you're there. And he's like, well, I'll just come to get you. And he's walking straight towards Gon, right? And 3 feet to the right of Gon, this dude stands up, and he's this guy that's kind of got this weird mullet-looking thing and a spear, And he's going to go after Hisoka, and and Hisoka's dodging and ducking, jumping, weaving, never getting hit. And this dude's like, what the hell, why won't you fight me? And Hisoka's like, you're as good as dead anyway, buddy. He's like, you were mortally wounded, and probably by whoever was hunting you, and this is just your last ditch effort to kind of go out as a warrior, which I get, but sorry, I'm not going with it, not buying it. So this guy goes and literally at one point goes and takes a spear and goes to cut at Hisoka and actually cuts through a tree and a whole damn tree falls down. So some of these people are pretty strong, But the significant part of this whole thing for me was the pinhead guy, the guy that looks like acupuncture gone wrong. It looks kind of like a Hellraiser reject, pinhead from Hellraiser. And he's green and almost looks like has robotic type movements, or puppet like movements. He comes out after he winds up killing this guy. I guess that was his target. He let him get away intentionally just to kind of screw around with him. He'd already gotten his tag anyway, but he winds up, mercifully throwing a few pins into his face and throat and everything else to take him out. So that guy's taken out, and you can see that that's who Hisoka's been talking with, obviously, because they've been communicating by walkie-talkie or whatever that they have, some kind of radio. But this guy, the thing that was significant for me, and I don't know if this will play into anything, is that he goes and he starts taking all the pins out of his face, and then all of a sudden he starts going into this weird sort of, I don't know, it was like a claymation type thing almost. It reminds me of his face starts remolding. Hisoka's like, God, I can't even watch this when you do this. And all of a sudden, he's a completely different dude. He digs a hole in the ground, goes down into it, and he's like, I'll just wait here the 4 days until things are done. See you later. He's got his tag. He's good to go. He's got his 6 points. But the significance for me is that this guy, there was a reason he disguised himself as this weird pinhead-looking guy. And I don't know if it was just for to make other people scared of him and fearful of him, or if he has a connection to one of maybe the other participants that's in here, or maybe maybe he'd been disqualified before for something he'd done, so he's trying to go in with a different look so none of the examiners know him. But that, for me, was significant. I don't know if it's going to play in anyway. I hope it does. But anyway, nonetheless, the episode ends up shortly after that. Hisoka goes back on the move because he winds up actually going and seeing Leorio and Kurapika, and he winds up getting the extra tag. The pinhead guy tosses him an extra tag that he got from this sniper that was hunting him that he killed. So Hisoka really doesn't even care who his target is. He's gonna take out a couple other people, and it looks like Leorio and Kurapika are gonna be those two. So as he's hunting them, Gon is kind of hunting him, and he doesn't want to get into a direct confrontation with Hisoka. He knows he's not going to win, but he wants to be able to, get him at the right time. And that's how the episode ends, really, is just, kind of everybody on the brink of something happening here. So I'm just really, really enjoying it. Ultimately, though, my episode question for you, brothers and sisters, is what are your thoughts on what I was saying about that pinhead guy and being able to kind of change his face and everything? There was a reason. Let me know what your thoughts are. Was there a reason for him doing this, or am I just looking too much into something? Or is this kind of, if I hit the nail on the head, and is this guy disguising himself for some reason from, to hide himself from the other applicants or maybe the examiners? Well, he's got to have some kind of connection. And although I don't want to be spoiled, I would like to know what your thoughts are on that.
in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you hunters in the next Fun Nation.
I would just love to touch the boobies. If you too like boobies, follow me over on the Twitter, the Facebook, and even my other channel.